Shalom, brothers. Brother Kamal Mahar here, back at it again. First thing first, I want to give all praise to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, qadash. Double honors, apostles, and elders on the truth from GMS. Blessings to Akim, my dear preaching his word with whole heart, true sincerity. And blessings to 144,000 and 1/3. The first fruits, kingdom of heaven, house of David, the Biyaf Dawadah. And shalom to you brothers out there speaking in different tongues and looking in different nations. Shalom. So today I wanted to land back off the Apostle Kabar, going into the Gentiles in the New Testament are the Israelites in general. I had some. Did I have any? No. Actually, Salakia. I've been edified greatly with this one. I know a lot about. I know a lot of scriptures regarding Israel only. But I was actually definitely wanted this particular wisdom for some time now to know how to go after scoffers about, because a lot of Edomites and the heathens, and also heathens, and a lot of 2/3 of our people like to come up and buck up with the brothers on the highways and edges about not having spirit, or the gospel was preached to the whole nations, all the nations that's other than Israelites, and everybody's welcome and grafted and adopted and things of that nature. So never really wasn't sure how to really go at this, but the water Yahawashi Yahawashi, the spirit, the Apostle Gabar was edified, and now I have that knowledge and understanding. So so what I wanted to get into with this is, Israelites that are Gentiles considered in the New Testament, they're Gentiles because they're in a Gentile state of mind. Now, I knew that already, but I just never knew how to fish it out and use scripture to defend myself. So a lot of Israelites, especially in the Maccabean situation, they were Hellenized. So they were basically because the Lord said if we will go against them in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, one of the curses was if we don't abide by the rules and laws of Yahawah, we're going to be dispersed and scattered amongst all nations to lands that we don't know. And that happened. So by doing so, that did happen. So then Yahawashi came on the scene and made his disciples apostles to fish out to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and they're lost sheep because they're dispersed and scattered amongst all the other nations. So what the heathen and 2/3 of our people don't understand is whenever you go into especially in the book of Matthew, when he says, I am not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So it clearly says that he's only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, not the lost sheep of the world, just the lost sheep of the house of Israel, because Israel is lost. They don't even know their heritage, pursuing to Jeremiah, I believe the 14th chapter or the 17th chapter. So matter of fact, just for me going into that, I believe it's Jeremiah, it might be 17:4, I believe. Right, it says, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Right, for you have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Right, so by discontinuing our heritage, we was fished out of Israel and went into different nations that we don't know nothing about. Made us serve other gods. And also our enemies. So we basically in captivity in lands and dealing with people that we don't even get down with like that. And so our heritage was taken from us, and we don't even know who we are. Now, by this being so, Yahawashi came on the scene to make it sense for himself, and also told his apostles to go fish out the lost people of the tribes of Israel that don't know that they're Israelites, and to bring them back to the fold for their remembrance. That's why when Paul and all these brothers been going, like James and Paul, when they was going out to those different nations, they weren't going to nations to preach to different people other than Israel. They were only preaching to the Israelites only. But when the way the scriptures are written out, when they say, all nations under the earth, or they say nation this and nation that, and all the other nations, then that's when people be like, well, see, right here it says that it's all the nations, and that's not the case. But on the scriptures, We can prove this, that it is, and I'm going to get into it. So let me go into John 7:30, John 7 and 35. And these are phenomenal. The scriptures that I've been looking for defense has came my way, and I'm very appreciative. James 7 and 35, and I pretty much mastered them. I've been studying them and meditating on them pretty much all day today. So I basically got it right. I mean, got it in my mind now. So when it comes to Gentiles, these particular precepts that I'm about to bring out are stuck with me. Now I find this very interesting. So when you go into the book of John 7, it goes into straight to the point in 35. It says, matter of fact, let me go to 33. Then said Yahawashi unto them, yet a little while I with you, and then I go unto him that sent me. That's a cut that the Holy Trinity and the Most High is equal to Yahawashi is equal to the Most High, and they're all in one when he said he was sent. So that's two different entities. Okay, you shall seek me and you shall not find me, and where I am, thither you cannot come. Then here's the point. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? So that's think about that. So now I thought this was very interesting. So right there it says, go unto the dispersed. Right. So why do you think they're considered to be the lost sheep of house of Israel? They have no shepherd and they wandered off. And they ain't wander off, but they were sent off in different areas, and now they're all scattered around. There's no shepherd to bring us in the fold, but now we do have one. Yahawashi, and got everything set up where we come back in our remembrance. Yahawashi got it set up where we come back in our remembrance, and we follow one in the name of Yahawashi, and our shepherd is back until we get delivered from him fully. So, but it says, will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles? Now, granted, if you a heathen or a 2/3, you're gonna be like, see, he going to the Gentiles. But the key word is dispersed, which means scattered out. And Israelites are scattered out amongst all other nations and teach the Gentiles. So now, how can you be dispersed among the Gentiles? Which means that just means there's a certain volume of population of people. And then there's, specific people in it among the actual Gentiles. So now they calling the people they're looking for Gentiles among the Gentiles. That doesn't make any sense. That's because the Israelites were dispersed among the Gentiles. They were. And to teach the Gentiles, which they're called Gentiles because they're in a Gentile state of mind. Like, for example, we know we're Israelites, but if a brother or a sister doesn't know that they're an Israelite of today and are full blown calling themselves an American, oh, I'm an American, that puts you in a Gentile state of mind. Or if you're an Israelite in Europe and you say I'm European, you're in a Gentile state of mind because you're thinking like a European. You're not thinking on the same frequency as an Israelite. So you are a Gentile. So you a Gentile. My last one would be like Bloods and Crips. If you from the Bloods, but you've been dispersed to the Crips and you grew up with the Crips, but your whole family lines with the Bloods and all you do is act like the Crips, we might as well just call you a Crip. You a whole Crip. And then there's a point in time where we bring over the higher ups of the situation to go over there to bring you back to teach you that you was really a Blood from the beginning. That's all that's happening right now. So basically they're calling our people Gentiles because they move and think like Gentiles because they grew up and lived over there. That's exactly why. So they're Gentiles. And they also were Israelites dispersed over into the Gentile lands, which made them become Gentiles because of their mindset. That's a cut right there. So I'm going to read it again. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles? Now, this Gentile right here is actually the real heathen Gentile. And then teach the Gentiles, this Gentile is the Israelites. So because they're called Gentiles among the Gentiles. So I just explained that very well. Hosea 8:8. It's another really, really good one to prove this, that the Israelites who were in those other lands are called Gentiles in the New Testament because they move and think like Gentiles. They took on a Gentile state of mind. If you a so-called Negro and you grew up in China, you're gonna be dressed up like China man. You're gonna be moving like China man. You're probably gonna be representing Buddha. You're gonna be in a Chinese state of mind, which that'll make you Chinese in this reference what we're talking about. Hosea 8:8. Now, you know what? Hold up. Before I get to Hosea 8:8, let me go to the book of Amos, actually. Amos 9:9. I thought this was very interesting, too. So this is also another cut on the fact that we're dispersed amongst the nations. So why would the Lord say this in Amos? For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. I can probably stop this video right there. So now that's just a full-blown direct that all these Israelites in the other nations are Gentiles, but he had to sift them out. So when you sift something, you're actually like searching and like when you go into your drawer, and there's a specific shirt you're looking for. So you have to sift through the other shirts to find that one shirt. That's sifting. You got to I'm gonna move this one over here. Where's that damn shirt at? That's sifting. Matter of fact, let's go to the word. Let's just go ahead and do that. Sift. Okay, it says put a fine loose powdery substance through to sieve so as to remove lumps or large particles. So it's probably synonyms that'll be way better. Okay, here we go. So to put through sieve so as to remove lumps or large particles. Kind of close. Examine something thoroughly so as though isolate that which is most important or useful. Pretty close. An act of sifting something, especially so as to isolate that which is most important or useful. Right. So what I'm saying to you is, so out of all the different shirts or in the entire nation, the Lord is sifting what is most important and useful to him, which are the Israelites. So he's searching through and he's sifting through the nations to get those Israelites that's in the nation of the heathen, but and acting like Gentiles. And so you have to sift through them. That's why I said, will he go to the dispersed, to the ones who scattered amongst the nations, the one that's dispersed of the Gentiles? So it said the dispersed among the Gentiles. So there's a number of people that's among the Gentiles, the real ones of other nations that are a part of the fold of Israelites. And the apostles' job was to go over to those nations where the heathen are, where Israelites dwell among them. That's the scriptures is talking about. That's why in Amos 9 it says, "For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations." So now when we go into scriptures like for all nations and those show love and for the nations, the nations is sometimes talking about the tribes of nations of Israel and also other nations. This is definitely speaking of all nations on the earth, but it's speaking about Israel among all nations. It's clear. Like a corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Right. That's why I precept Amos 9:9 with what was that? Hosea 8:8. Right. Let me make sure that was Hosea 8:8. Right, that was the precept to it. So the Lord did his thing, man. This proof is definitely in the pudding, and it's not hard to really, but scoffers and other people still want to go against it. That's just what they want to do. Okay, here you go. No, that was John 7:35. But let me go to Hosea 8:8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel where is no pleasure. Right. Right? Of course, there's no pleasure because we in captivity amongst lands that we don't understand and they're enemies, and we're swallowed up among the Gentiles. So here you go. You got Israel is scattered and or called dispersed among the Gentiles. So when it says the Gentiles and speech teach the Gentiles, it's talking about the Israelites dispersed among them. That's what it's saying, and they're actually called Gentiles. So this can be very confusing, but the breakdowns is very clear and is very understandable, and the proof is here to correct that. And we can read these scriptures and it'll just do its thing. Tobit. Oh man, this is another good one. Tobit 13:3. And it says, confess him before the Gentiles, you children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them. Yo, so now when you look at this, you like, okay, confess him before the Gentiles. And then he's actually saying what these Gentiles are. You children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them. You see what I'm saying? So they're confessing to the Gentiles, and they are Gentiles, and they're children of Israel, and they're scattered among the Gentiles as well. So that's why it was saying, would he go to the disperse among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? You see what I'm saying? So it's calling Israel the Gentiles, but they're the ones that dispersed, and it keep on saying that we are scattered. So okay, where is that in? Let me go into the book of Deuteronomy. So let me go ahead and prove that. So that way, I'm not really sure what this one is, but I do know it's maybe in a. Let me see. Pass choice. Okay, 64. Deuteronomy 28:64. So hold up now, real quick. Now, why were we dispersed amongst the nations? Let's go to 15 one time. It says, 15 says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahawah thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Right, and we did exactly what he said. Well, we did exactly what he said not to do, and these curses came upon us. And going to 64 is for the reason why the scriptures and the apostles had to do what they had to do in the other nations. And the Yahawah shall scatter thee among all people, from one end to the of the earth, even unto the other. And there shalt serve other gods, was there with neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Right. So now that we were scattered amongst the nations, the Lord had mercy on us, and there was a time frame where he had Yahawashi set up and had disciples and made apostles and was sent out to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, to the nations, to all the nations that where the Israelites are, who don't know they're Israelites, and they're taking the customs of the heathen, which making them Gentiles. They don't even know they're Israelites. Some did, but there's Israelites that didn't even know they were Israelites. That was the job of the apostle, to preach the gospel to them, to let them know the good news, to repent and come back, and let them know who they are. Go to the book of James, because James is one of those brothers as well, as far as going to the nations or speaking to them at least. Let me see. James 1:1. It says, James, a servant of the Most High, of the Lord Yahawashi, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Come on. Like, yo, like, so now, but even so, even though we're seeing all this proof here, why is it that all this proof is here? But then again, even so, Yahawashi gave a decree and a command. He gave a command to his apostles on what to do, to go out to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So when you read that, when the general says, I'm going to need you to go to Iraq and take out those 13 men and rescue those 2 women. So, and now that's the command, but other people are hearing the command and saying that the command is something different, or they're joined to the command and got it going in different manners, when The command had nothing to do with you. I told them to do that and what to do and how to do it. So you can't add to the fact that he didn't say, oh, go to the nations and bring them all to me. No, he said to sift out and get to the disperse among the Gentiles. Our people have no knowledge, man. I mean, have no knowledge of being Israelites. And there was a time frame where they need to come back to know who they are. You're not gonna teach a heathen the laws that wasn't even given to him. Romans 9. Romans 9. I'm getting to the point. I'm gonna go right to 3 with it. It says, for I could wish that myself were the curse from Yahawashi for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh. And Paul is one of the main ones who he went to Romans, which he called himself a Roman in the book of Acts, which was very intelligent for him to not be getting whipped. And he went to Romans, he went to the Church of Corinth, Galatians, what was the Thessalonians. So he went about himself in all these different manners, and people always like to say Paul was speaking to these different nations when he said it's for his brethren, his kingdom according to the flesh. And even Paul was an Israelite. Romans 11:1. I say then, have Yahawah cast away his people? 11:1. Yahawah forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So when he's talking about his brethren, that's who he's talking about, who are Israelites. So Paul is an Israelite, his brethren are Israelites. So when he was preaching the gospel and doing his thing, he was talking to the Israelites. So some people like to listen to Paul and go, well, but the 10th chapter said, like the 10th chapter and everything else in 11 and 12 and 13 and 4 and 5 and 6, whatever, like it's all for Israel. It's for Israel, man. That's what it is, man. It's very, let me get to 4. Who pertaineth the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, and the service of the Most High, and the promises. Now let's go to the word pertaineth. So now you know what this thing is, what and who this thing is for. Pertaineth. Pertain. To be appropriate, related, or applicable, it says belong to something as a part, appendage, or accessory. Be in effect of existence in a specific place. So right here. So belong to something as a part, appendage, or accessory. Right. That's what it is. Belong to. See the similar. Belong to. Be a part of. You know what I'm saying? So these are the correct things. Go along with, be included in, belong to, something as a part. It pertaineth to the Israelites, not nobody else. You see what I'm saying? It's clear. But when you read these things, people get so butthurt because they don't want to feel like they're not a part of something they thought they were. And so it's like, wow, it's not for me. No, I don't want to hear that. No. He said that, and then here you go with the Gentile thing again. Come on, like it's man, this is insane. So look, my last one to prove, the book of Acts 22. So Paul knows he's an Israelite, but but just to prove something, shout out to Apostle Gobar for this one. I got this one on me as well. Paul, this is Paul right here. And right here, I'm getting to the point. It says that where is it at? Yep, the Arthens. Here we go. And it says, right, it says, because he's about to get whipped. So what he did was he kind of said it was that tell me about. So look, right here, this is Paul. It says, when a centurion heard that, Acts 22:26. 25, get to the point. And as they bound with him with thongs, Paul said unto centurion that stood by, is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman and an uncondemned? Right, so he just called himself a Roman. Then when the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain as saying, take heed what thou doest, for this man is a Roman. Right, this is Paul recognizing himself as a Roman, which is a Gentile mindset, which a lot of our people are calling themselves Roman. Even Paul did it. And it says, then the chief captain came and said unto him, speaking to Paul, tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, yeah. And the chief captain answered, with a great sum obtained I this freedom. He bought that freedom. And Paul said, but I was freeborn. Right. So now he won't get scourged, whipped, because he was a Roman. But he knew he was an Israelite, so it was intelligence for him to escape to be getting whipped. Nobody want to get whipped. But at the end of the day, though, Paul represented himself to a certain people that he was a Roman, which is a Gentile mindset. So if Paul knew he was an Israelite, what about those Israelites that's dispersed among the Romans that don't know the Israelites that grew up in Rome? What are they going to call themselves? Romans. But they're Israelites. So just the same thing as Paul did, that's what they are doing, but they don't know they're Israelites. That's why Paul got to go and get with them to let them know who they are. Not the real Romans, the Israelites who claiming to be Romans. Call law Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Yahawah, he is to be, exists by Hashem the name, and the only begotten Son, the Lord and Savior. Yahawashi, by Hashem the name, and the Holy Spirit, qadash. Double honors and apostles and elders on earth truth from. Blessings to the Aki, my dear, preaching his word. Well, wholehearted true sincerity. And blessings to the 144,000, the 1/3, the first fruits kingdom of heaven, house of David, the Biyaf Dawadah, and shalom to you brothers out there that speaking in different tongues and look in different nations. Shalom. Abarat decided this was edifying, and brothers learned something today. Shalom.